For this first etude, I think the main challenges are rhythm and the tricky rests. Make sure you practice with a metronome. I find it especially helpful to use a metronome that will give you different sounds for the big beat and the smaller subdivisions. So per measure, that would be 2 big beats and 2 subdivisions after each big beat, 6 total beats. Really lean into the accents and marcato markings. I find doing so really helps define the rhythm. In terms of breathing, do make sure you're not breathing in every single rest. Find a way to exhale as well. One thing to try is breathing in on rests that land on a big beat and breathing out on rests that fall on a subdivision, with the exception of the last 2 bars plus its pickup. For the second etude, be aware of the key signature of 4 sharps. If you're not confident in this key signature, pencil in all sharps throughout the music, especially those G sharps and D sharps. There's no shame in pencil markings. In terms of finger technique, there are 2 things to note. Be sure you are adequately half-holing those F sharps and G sharps. Secondly, know when to use pinky F sharp and thumb F sharp so you can move fluidly from note to note. For example, in measure 5, I would probably use pinky F sharp after the D sharp in beat 3, and again in measure 9, I would use pinky F sharp on the end of beat 3. Regarding rhythm, going between duples and triplets can be tricky. One way I like to learn going between the 2 is incorporating a word that reflects the rhythm. For example, I like chocolate peanut butter. I like chocolate peanut butter. I like are your 8th notes, chocolate are your triplets, and peanut butter are your 16th notes. Lastly, don't worry about the metronome marking of quarter note equals 96. I actually take it a little slower, around 86 to 88 beats per minute, imagining a more relaxed walking tempo. The main challenges in this etude are tempo as well as half-holing and flicking. Again, I took this tempo down slightly to make sure I play the etude accurately. It's much better to play accurately and musically, even if in a slower tempo, than sloppily at the written tempo. Practice this one very slowly, even as slow as half tempo, for a good while to make sure you are hitting every half-hole and every flick. If you feel like you're half-holing and flicking, but notes are still cracking, check the size of your half-hole and make sure you are truly pressing down your flick key fully. This one is tricky, but have fun. For this etude, the time signature can be intimidating. Subdivide the 8th note, which stays constant through the time signature changes. Like Etude 3, I would suggest practicing this one very slowly for a while. In this slow tempo, exaggerate the articulations as well as the dynamics. When you're ready to gradually bring up the tempo, the last thing you will work in is the two ritardandi, which will be much easier to incorporate once you feel confident about the rest of the etude. For the final etude, it's a lyrical and slow one, so be extra cognizant of intonation. You can practice this with a visual tuner, but also practice with a drone. In this case, I put a drone on G flat. I like to practice my scales and intervals against a G flat drone even before playing the etude. Don't worry too much about the dynamic markings in the low register. That is tough. Find the piano that you are comfortable playing and have that be your threshold for determining your other dynamic markings. To get a piano dynamic in the low register, experiment with the placement of your embouchure closer to the tip of the reed. Be sure you are taking in a nice, healthy inhale and supporting during your exhale. You'll need very supported air to make this one sound full and to create long, linear, and horizontal lines, as indicated by these slur and phrase markings.